Electrical and lighting products distributor ARB Holdings has managed to hold first half profits steady despite what it calls a tough operating environment in the electrical sector. Well, how did it do that? Joining me on the line with details is acting CEO Billy Nisham. Billy, thanks very much for your time today. So revenue down just under 5% for the 6 months, but it looks like you've managed to squeeze out some efficiencies, your profit margins improving over the period.
Yes, we have managed to improve the efficiencies. I think what we've done is, because the trading conditions have been so challenging, we've tried to do or manage the things we can control, like the overheads, like the margin wherever possible, and just managing the efficiencies as best we can.
Well, as you say in the commentary, you expect the environment to remain tough in the short term. Are there more efficiencies to squeeze out?
You've always got to look for efficiencies. I think the day you become complacent is the day things will start becoming negative in the environment that you operate. So yes, there will be small efficiencies we can, but there are no major changes or cutbacks that we can do. So now we just have to go and look for the opportunities that do exist. There's always opportunities that exist in the environment, and we must just be a little bit smarter at finding those opportunities.
Where are the opportunities that where you see them at the moment, Billy? Because I know that some of the problems over the past period came from a lack of infrastructure spending, reticulation products from Eskom and the likes. But with the load shedding we're seeing around the country, does that present an opportunity with things like inverters and generators?
They would present opportunities with that, although we're not big into that market. Where we have taken a bit of pain is in relation to the electrical reticulation or electrification of the rural areas. And Eskom definitely has to get going with that project again. I think they do need to find the funding for it, but it can't just be stagnant or non-existent the way it has been in KZN for the last year. As far as the lighting division is concerned, is that they have an opportunity to expand the product range into their sort of customer base, and that's where things like inverters and that would probably feature more.
So is electrification of rural areas on hold at the moment due to the problems we're seeing?
It's not on hold. It's actually been cut back significantly. I think the numbers that have been quoted, and I haven't had this in any reliable means, but it's like 20% of what was budgeted in previous years is now being spent in KZN and Eastern Cape in the past year.
How big a customer is Eskom of yours?
Eskom is not a big customer of ours directly, but the way we can measure it is that the overhead line contractors, and those are the guys that predominantly service projects for Eskom, and we supply those contractors. The last comparative period, they made up about 14% of our turnover. This year they've made up 7% of our turnover.
So if load shedding is not presenting big opportunities for you, is it presenting big problems for you, particularly as far as trading goes?
I think it's definitely presenting problems as far as trading, just the general negative environment. New projects are not going to happen because they can't secure electricity going forward. So it is a dampening effect, there's no question about that.
I mean, if you look at your revenue sources, electrical by far the largest, so almost 9/10 of revenue comes from electrical. Are you looking at more to the lighting side of the business for growth in that case?
The lighting side of the business is definitely growing year on year. It's grown in sort of excess of 20% certainly in the last 2 years. And it has increased as a percentage of our total revenue in the last couple of years. I'm just trying to recall, I think it's now up to about 24% of our revenue, lighting, and before it was only about 12-15%.
And what sort of balance are you looking for going forward with lighting, Billy?
Sorry, what sort of?
What sort of balance are you looking at going forward between lighting and electrical?
I think effectively we'll get to a stage of 2/3 electrical, 1/3 lighting, and then we have spoken about other acquisitions in terms of building the base in terms of industrial services, industrial products that we can supply on with our core competency being trading and distribution.
And is that the third pillar of the business that you've spoken about in the past?
Yes. We certainly have been active in looking for it. It hasn't happened. It is frustrating that they don't just all come about when we want them to come about, but it has also been curtailed by the fact that I've been filling the role of acting CEO and FD at the same time.
Of course, you do have some firepower for acquisitions. You're still strongly cash generative, no debt, and you had net cash resources of 129 million rand at the end of the period. So are you actually looking for acquisitions and ways to deploy this, and would you be willing to gear up the business for big deals?
We are actively looking for businesses, and yes, we would be prepared to gear up for big deals. I think the funding would, the type of deal and the structure of the deal would determine the funding rather than the funding determining the actual deal.
Take us through the property side of the business, Sam, because you do own most of your properties, 86,000 square meters worth 168 million rand, so also a nice position to be in.
Yes, it is, and I think it's historical from the entrepreneurial base that the company grew from. And from an entrepreneur, they like to own their properties. We only buy properties where our operations are actively trading from. We're not a property owning company in terms of having external tenants that occupy those premises. So they're really designed around our specific needs. For instance, the one that we just completed in Rustenburg was specifically built for us to service the Rustenburg area and for the nature of the trading we want to do in that area.
Billy, State of the Nation address tonight. Will ARB be watching keenly to see any mention of sorting out problems at Eskom, infrastructure spending from other parastatals perhaps?
I think ARB and most of South Africa will be watching from that perspective.
And then, Billy, you did mention that you've been acting as CEO since last October when Brian Nichols left. Any idea when a CEO, a permanent CEO, will be announced for ARB?
We are expecting an announcement to be made shortly. My hat is in the ring, so right now we're just waiting for some finalities.
Billy, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much for speaking to us today.
Thank you very much.
That's Billy Nisham. He's acting CEO of ARB Holdings.